This week, we release episodes 99 and 100. That's right, 100 episodes since December 1st, 2016. Matt and I have gone all over North Carolina, finding the stories of compelling food and beverage industry leaders. We hope you've enjoyed listening to everything we've done, and get ready because we have a whole lot more to come in the future. But as we get to episodes 99 and 100, we'd like to say thanks to all of the sponsors, both current, brand new, and previous, that have helped us along the journey. I mean, we originally started with Food Scene, who's a great social media management, food and video photography, website design, graphic design company. They've been our first sponsor and helped us along the way, so thank you very much. But brands like the Curate app, or Van Daughtry Consulting, or Meredith College Master's Program have all helped us along the way. And current sponsors like Social House Vodka, Triangle Wine Company, Happy Hour Vitamins, Larry's Coffee and 42 in Lawrence, Ramona Wine Coolers, Michael's English Muffins. Annabelle, thank you for all of those delicious muffins. And new brands like Alley 26 Tonic, that's Shannon Healy and Rob Mariani's project coming out of Alley 26 in Durham. It's an excellent tonic syrup that you can make delicious cocktails with. And then Hungry Harvest, they came on to help support our cause too, so big thanks to them. When you order your first box of Hungry Harvest, make sure that you put NCFB in the promo code to receive $5 off your first purchase. And we just brought on another new sponsor, Magnum Beard. That's right. You see those beautiful beards that Matt and I rock? Well, it's thanks to Magnum Beard. You can get balms, oils, a whole kit. So go to magnumbeard.com for all of your beard needs. And so let's set up episodes 99 and 100, which features the Pinehurst Chef and Maker series. This particular series features Paul Verica of the newly opened Stanley in Charlotte. You may recognize Paul Verica's name because he ran Heritage for all those many years. He's a James Beard semifinalist and a fantastic guy. Great, compelling conversation. But first, we get into it with Pinehurst's executive chef, Thierry DeBailleul. I probably destroyed the pronunciation of that. Sorry about that, Chef T. Terry starts off the episode talking about everything that is Pinehurst in a culinary sense. There are so many moving parts. It's amazing what he can do. And then we start talking to Paul about what his experiences were like opening Heritage, the process of opening the Stanley, and working with his son on the line. It's a great heartwarming conversation. Episode 100 is part 2 of the Pinehurst experience. And that will feature someone that is near and dear to our hearts, Esteban McMahon, Topo Distilling in Chapel Hill. Topo and Esteban have been huge supporters of the podcast since we've lived in North Carolina. So a big shout out and tip of the hat to all that they have done for North Carolina and for us. We get to listen to how Esteban joined up with Topo, how it was created. It's a fascinating story, and we're very proud to make that our 100th episode. Later in the episode, we speak with Nancy Bruns of JQ Dickinson Salt Works. Nancy has a phenomenal story that goes back 7 generations of salt making. Thanks again. Support our sponsors by supporting local business. And we sincerely thank you for listening to the first 100 episodes of the NCF&B and look forward to the next 100. And if you haven't already told 10 of your friends to click and subscribe, what are you waiting for? Seriously, thank you so much, and thanks for the support. That's how we can continue to do this show, is with your support, subscribing, and telling a friend about it. Brian Hoyle, take it away.
You're listening to the NCF&B podcast, part of the OG Podcast Network. The NCF&B podcast takes you behind the scenes of North Carolina's food and beverage industry. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at NCFBpod. This episode sponsored in part by Food Scene. That's foodseen.com. Providing professional photography, social media management, video production, and website design. And now, enjoy the show.
Thank you for listening to the NCF&B podcast. I am your co-host, Max Trujillo.
And I'm your co-host, Matthew Weiss.
And we are speaking with executive chef at Pinehurst Resort and Country Club, Thierry DeBailleul. So as a podcast, as the NCF&B podcast, we have yet to venture to Pinehurst. If you can, just describe Pinehurst as it pertains as a culinary destination.
Sure. So Pinehurst, of course, is a resort, but also a small town, in the Sand Hills of North Carolina. Heavily dedicated to golf, but over the years, actually since 1895, Pinehurst Resort has been running most of everything around here. There's certainly a lot more in 2018 that there used to be just 10 years ago when I moved here. But just to be specific, as far as Pinehurst Resort, we're a resort about nearly 500 rooms, condos, villas, all around the village and the golf courses. And we run something like 12 restaurants, so it's quite a bit. Some are private for like a typical country club, private members, and then some are, semi-private and public, and then most of the other ones are all public. So we run 2 hotels and a large country club. The Carolina Hotel has a great place called the Carolina Dining Room. Voted best breakfast in golf for many, many years, in several publications of golf. I think we benefit from a great team here at the hotel. We have, we have 12 people working the pastry shop. We have 2 butchers in the back. We have chefs and sous chef, garde-manger, typical kind of a resort hotel brigade. So all the professions are kind of represented here. So we benefit from all that wealth of knowledge and technique here, technical skills.
And from what I understand, you are going into your 10th year of running the kitchens at Pinehurst Resort. Is that correct?
Yes. It'll be my anniversary on May 28th, so it's been a while.
Wow. Well, congratulations. That's pretty amazing to...
And of course, each property is responsible to run room service and all the banquets and so on. We do tons of catering, tons of wedding, and quite a bit of conventions, and of course, anything that's related to golf as far as, golf tournaments, golf-centric group. We have people coming from all over the world to play golf and eat here in our restaurants. So we try to stay away from the stereotype of bad hotel food and so on.
How do you do that?
Well, first of all, by cooking fresh everything. Nothing is nothing dies down into a steam well, hotel pan, in front of you, and scoop on the plate and go. Everything's cooked to, we bring the small restaurant technique to the higher volume, I mean, we say we're high volume, but we're not tremendously high volume. We're not, 1,000 room, I'm not going to say any other brand, but we're not a monster hotel. So we like to keep the boutique aspect of everything that we do. Seasonal menu, specials, we get deliveries every day. We get the butchers managing to get the best fish and the best meat around. Chefs and sous chefs, get every day. We involve the cooks and the lead cooks towards specials. We really push the creativity, We, for many, 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 many years, have, taken on a lot of internship from various schools. So, we hear all and everything about interns, how good and how terrible they are. But I think overall, we all had to start somewhere. So we take great pride and great care into, showing them, for the one that don't know anything, showing them the basics of culinary, and pretty quickly within a month or two, really, pushing the intensity as far as cooking and really challenging them. So some are better than others, there's no question. Some are meant to be chef and some are meant to be maybe something else in the food industry, but that's okay. But nested in Sand Hills, needless to say that, staffing shortage, staffing crisis shortage is not we're part of this. So we constantly have to hunt for talent and cooks and sous chefs, and currently I'm looking for 2 sous chefs if you know any.
Yeah, Matt and I will do it that weekend if you want.
That's the pitch.
Yeah. But we're going to need $25,000 each.
Jesus Christ.
And an open bar. So let's talk about that weekend. Let's talk about the Chef and Maker series.
So we've done it for a while, but in a different format. So what we were doing this year and last year was kind of a rebirth of what we used to call the wine and food festival, which was basically our version of the bigger food and wine festival. And we decided to kind of reinvent the whole thing and do 3 weekends a year and inviting 3 chefs. That would be kind of the focus of each weekend. And so to mention, last year we had Clark Barlow, which did a phenomenal job, and he was our main chef last year.
Sure.
And we had Ashley Christensen and after this, in September, we had Katie Button from Asheville. So we had 3 fantastic chefs that really did a great job. I mean,
it's quite an impressive lineup that speaks a lot to validate what you guys are doing to be able to attract such talent there.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I got to say, it was, I mean, I think the purpose of this is, to of course, search and find great talent. But I mean, and the beauty of this is to find people that we don't necessarily know here. And then, I mean, for us, for me personally as a chef, it's a phenomenal learning experience over the weekend hosting chefs like this.
Now, Chef T, you've been a chef for a long time, and
Yes.
I've got to think that something might have rubbed off on you while working alongside some of these chefs.
Well, I mean, each chef brought something so different, I mean, they were all very, excellent technicians. Clark was just like the forager of all foragers, as far as, I've never met someone that was so, first of all, knowledgeable with his surrounding, but so focused and so driven by making sure that just about everything on his menu is truly, truly not just, for the sake of talking about it, truly local or just, really nearby, and that was impressive because, I mean, I'm French born and raised, but, America is full of travelers, like you mentioned, from LA, and I'm from France. So we all somewhat expats somewhere, it's like I'm not from North Carolina or, so it's always refreshing to see someone that's truly, from the area and has such a knowledge of spices and things that grow in the woods and greens and local meats. I mean, it was phenomenal. Ashley was very diverse. I mean, our menu was phenomenal. I mean, we picked up on a few cooking techniques, including, slow cooking overnight for short rib. And Katie was, Spanish inspired. I mean, the cuisine was phenomenal. I think it was a great variety of chefs last year. We were very, very proud to have them. And
yeah, I would say maybe this is a little bit more of an intimate situation where you're opening your kitchen and your doors to guests that want to experience both what you're doing at Pinehurst, but then with a little flair from a particular chef in that particular environment. Yeah, I like it.
Exactly. We make sure to do wine pairing, so each chef has a different style of cuisine or level of spiciness and the flavors. So it's always kind of a nice challenge for all of us. And as far as learning, I mean, you're not a chef if you're not learning every day.
So for this upcoming series is going to be with Chef Paul Verica, who is now of the Stanley restaurant, which is just opening. He moved his restaurant from the outskirts of Charlotte more to the uptown area. And so, yeah, he's in transition. And Paul's been mentioned by not only the aforementioned Clark Barlow, but many chefs that we've had on the show that have been from Charlotte, from Matthew Krenz to Ben Philpott to Chris Coleman, all give huge props to Paul Verica. And Matt and I have even had a meal that Paul made, a course, I should say, that he cooked at Heirloom at Clark Barlow's restaurant. Yes. And fantastic. So yeah, how did you get in contact with Paul, and how did that all work out that Paul was going to be representing?
The Charlotte scene is exploding, they're all bringing either techniques or something really unique. And we're so looking forward to really do the events with those guys.
How does it work for the menu planning? Do they come up with the menu and then just give it to you guys and say, you source the ingredients for me, or do you guys work on that together?
That's a great question. So what we've done last year and this year, each chef is a little different when it comes to do events into someone else or out in the open. Some come very prepared with everything pre-made, kind of in coolers, ready to go, ready to be assembled, prep in their own kitchens. Some come kind of halfway, and some, we'll do everything on site. So the idea was we always give priority to their menus. So the format is typically on Friday evening, we host an event, but I never write anything on the menu until we get the chef's dinner and demo dinner. So Paul will do a cooking class, a cooking demo on lunch on Saturday. It will be followed by his dinner, sit down plated dinner, courses, and then the next day breakfast, and then enjoying the weekend, So it's a fairly short event. I start writing in the Friday evening. Friday evening is more kind of a welcome. We try to celebrate either their menus or their cookbooks. We're trying to find, in this particular case, Paul didn't have a cookbook, but, and then, my luck is he had closed his own restaurants.
What a slacker.
What it's like. So the idea is, farm to table, local regionalism with a twist. If we can feature a local cheesemaker, like in this particular case on the May weekend with Paul Verica, we're going to feature Paradox Goat Cheese Farm, which is 6 miles away from here, and it's doing phenomenal goat cheeses, and starting to take the production to another level, but remain a very, very small producer.
Well, it's exciting. Matt and I are looking forward to it. Matt, you and I might have to like wake up early morning on Saturday and do a quick 9 holes or something.
You know what?
Well,
I'll give you a secret. I don't golf.
Really?
Oh, no?
Around. I've been a chef for many, many years in this beautiful country, and I don't think I've ever played golf for one round in my entire life.
Golf is so time consuming, and I imagine you probably don't have that type of time to.
We don't.
Exactly. That's
the truth. That's how it started.
One makes me think that the owners of the Pinehurst Resort kind of use this as a strategy. They might have asked you that in the interview. So Chef T, do you golf very often? And if your answer would have been opposite, like, oh man, I love golfing, I can't wait to work here, they've been like, yeah, next, let's get the next guy.
Let's get the next guy. Exactly. Who's this guy? Well, I've worked with chefs that were avid golfers, and sometimes it was like, where are they? Where is he?
Yeah, he's out on 17 right now. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
So, Chef, we'll let you get back to prepping. I'm sure you've got a lot of work to do. In advance too, so Paul Verica is going to be in the first part of the series, but then you're also going to have Dean Neff over the summer, and then in September you're working with the master Bill Smith over at Cook's Corner. So you guys don't mess around with the lineup of chefs that you bring in for your series. So anyone that's looking to go, thinking about a great weekend, maybe playing a little golf and having some great food, just know that Pinehurst really has set a very high standard for excellent food, and you'll have an excellent time there.
When it comes to vodka, it starts at the farm. Social House Vodka sources corn locally from a farmer who plants non-GMO corn. And because it's made from corn, it's also gluten-free. Social House Vodka comes from Kinston, North Carolina, and sources water from the ancient Black Creek Aquifer. Social House Vodka. Live socially, enjoy responsibly.
Well, hello again, and thank you for listening to the NCF&B podcast. I am your co-host, Max Trujillo.
And I am your co-host, Matthew Weiss, and we are here with the dubbed godfather of the Charlotte food scene, Mr. James Beard, semifinalist for 2016, Paul Verica.
Hey, how are you?
Oh, doing great. So, Paul, we're here. We're not at we're not at Heritage, and we're not at the Stanley. No. We're not even in Charlotte right now.
No. We're in Pinehurst.
We're in Pinehurst, yeah. And we're not even golfing right now.
No, not yet. Not until Sunday. Yeah.
Although, in this room, there's probably enough room to at least a couple of wedges if you keep it low.
Keep it low, yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Is that
have some fun invented mini golf holes, play off the little structure and everything.
Yeah, Happy Gilmore style.
Yeah, totally.
Well, because we're at Pinehurst, you have been asked to be a part of the Chef and Maker series.
Yeah.
So, I know a little bit about this, but I'd love to hear from your perspective. What's the whole purpose of you coming out here, and what are you doing with Chef T out here?
It's a whole cool weekend. It's all kind of formed around pairing up different people of kind of similar interests and kind of coming from the same vein. I first heard about it from a friend of mine, Clark, in Charlotte, who runs a place called Heirloom. He did it last year.
Know him well.
Yeah.
Former NCF&B guest.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, and we caught up with you guys. We didn't get to meet with you, but
the Order Fire.
Exactly. Yeah.
That Clark hosted back in September.
October, September, something like that.
Yeah. Any listener of the show would remember because we interviewed Mark Jacksina, the host of Order Fire, and that was a pretty ambitious dinner as well. There was so many chefs and so many courses.
But anyway, you were talking about how you got introduced to Chef and Maker.
So I heard about it from Clark, and then they reached out to us a little while ago, and we're like, hey, would you be interested in it? Coming up and hanging out for the weekend, and playing with the culinary team here, and it's really kind of a free for all for me. I get to do whatever I want.
Yeah.
Get to have get paired up with the salt maker from West Virginia.
We just talked to Nancy Bruins. Yeah.
She knows a thing or two about salt.
Yeah, just the fact that they're harvesting sea salt in West Virginia, like that's freaking
ancient
cool.
Ocean.
Yeah,
it's bizarre.
And it's delicious.
Yeah.
I mean, the minerality on it is great, and the flake, how they process it is.
So
is
are
really
you
nice.
incorporating a lot of the salts in the dish?
Yeah, totally. We're using them. They're primary ingredients in 2 of the dishes tomorrow. The first course is a smoked trout toast, and we're going to lightly cure the trout in some herbs and some of their salt for a little bit, and then smoke it. Chef T just got this fatty new smoker. The thing is really sweet. So we're going to use that and smoke them on that.
So let's talk about that. Let's talk about the setup. I can only imagine walking into the Pinehurst kitchens is like a kid walking into FAO Schwartz, like Toyland with all the best stuff. I mean,
and they've got a great setup, and Chef T's got great staff. They've been super helpful and supportive with us. I haven't gotten into the kitchen too much today, just because we were tied up this morning trying to finish up stuff for the restaurant, and then got up here. So I'll be in there bright and early tomorrow morning, and all day tomorrow afternoon, prepping for the dinner. So.
Yeah, I gotta ask, because we've been kidding around about it a little bit right now, but can you please describe your work day a little bit for tomorrow? What's your Saturday look like?
All right, so I got to be in the kitchen by 8, and then I have cooking demo at 11:30. Do that for, I think, 50 people with 3 courses. I've got a demo, like live demo, cooking each course, and then magic, voila, it'll appear from the kitchen in the background. And then we have a 4-course dinner, I think, for 85 people tomorrow night. And I wasn't able to prep anything before I came up, because we're in the process of getting ready to open our new place.
Yeah, you don't have a home kitchen right now.
No, and we were pushing to get it by yesterday. So I was like, cool, even if I got to prep all night Thursday night, at least I can do something. And we literally this morning, half an hour before we got on the road to drive here, we got our temporary certificate of occupancy. So I had a bunch of veggies that I'd gotten from some of my farmers, and we threw them in the back of the car and into a cooler and took off. And one of my good friends and former employees and great helper whenever I'm in the shits, Joy Turner, is here with me, and she'll be helping me prep all day tomorrow.
I was going to say, is it the royal we, or are you bringing your team up here with you to help cook?
No, it's they said I could bring one person, and my team, led by my son Alex and my GM Steven, they're back at the restaurant, they're unpacking pots and pans.
Oh, wow.
Washing all that stuff and putting glassware.
We'll help you get that smoker into the back of the truck.
Exactly. Cool. You got a hitch on the back of the car, right?
As long as we can get a few meals out of it, we're totally down to it for it. Yeah.
No problem.
Well, so tomorrow is going to be jam-packed. At least you do get to have fun on the links on Sunday. You get to enjoy Pinehurst for what we all kind of view it as an amazing golfing resort.
Yeah, so. I mean, when they first called me about it, I was like, I did some research. I called Clark, and I was like, sounds like a fun event. And I was like, good exposure, good regional exposure, all that stuff's important. And I was, one of my first questions, I was like, well, can I play golf? and when they emailed me a couple weeks ago, they're like, we have you guys all set up for an 8:30 tee time on number 2 on Sunday.
You play number 2 too. Totally. That's badass. They put us on, like, what is it called?
They put us on the Cradle, which is a 9-hole, which is basically like mini golf for adults, let's say, because there's there's music pumping through the trees. There's booze everywhere, and it's
very nice.
It's a 3-hole, but we're gonna be on there tomorrow at 8:00 with Esteban from Topo, and so
fun?
Yeah.
Good nap tomorrow afternoon.
And I've seen Max play golf, so it's probably better that they put him on the Cradle anyway. So
this is pretty much why we're doing it. Because I told the guy, I don't think I can handle 18 holes or a par 5. For one, Matt recently just sent me a picture of my golf swing when we golfed in Los Angeles like 6 years ago. It's pretty embarrassing.
This segment is brought to you by the Triangle Wine Company. Visit Triangle Wine Company stores in Morrisville, Cary, and Southern Pines, North Carolina. Or order your wine and beer online at trianglewineco.com. And be sure to use our promo code NCFB to receive 10% off your purchases. Triangle Wine Company.
So with that, Paul, how's your golf game?
I enjoy the game a lot. I was fortunate. I spent 8 years at a great club called the Club at Longview, and it was a Nicholas signature design course. So I played as much as I possibly could. I mean, my whole goal for Sunday is to stay under 100. I'm typically a upper 80s, low 90s kind of guy.
Okay, that's solid golf. You know, I mean, the average American I think is like right around 100.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, and I found since I opened Heritage and then subsequently with Stanley, I found I play less and less than I used to, and I actually play better.
Right.
When I don't play as much because I'm more focused on trying to enjoy it and relax, and obviously playing. We're going to be walking where giants have walked.
Yes.
I'm like, that's just
Stewart,
cool.
you know,
right? Yeah.
That's awesome.
I mean, just so many iconic.
Yeah, walking down this hall just now, you see like Arnold Palmer was on there. Like every major golfer.
Yeah.
These are hallowed grounds of golf.
Yeah. So yeah, we're psyched about that.
Well, let's get into let's talk about Heritage a little bit first, and how that moved into what is now going to be the Stanley in a totally new location.
You're just outside of Uptown. So
when did Heritage first open?
We opened Heritage in November of 2013.
Oh, okay.
And we had a great 4-year run in that time. With 2017 last year, I was James Beard nominated chef for Best Chef Southeast.
Yeah.
The semifinalist for that. We were 2 years running Charlotte's #1 restaurant for Charlotte Magazine. Charlotte's Best Chef. I mean, we were very fortunate to get some great accolades, and I had some awesome people on my team that really, really helped us accomplish that. And we just got to the point where we'd outgrown Heritage. I mean, it was 36 seats, and on an average weekend, we would turn away 50 to 60 diners.
Oh, wow.
And it's $60 a head, and, you know, you do that math, and I have, I had partners, or have partners, and, the kitchen was small. It was just we needed to evolve, and it was my son and I. My son Alex is my sous chef. Has been started as a dishwasher day one at Heritage, and by the end of it was basically running the kitchen, and he'll be having a lot of responsibilities. Actually, a partner in the new restaurant.
That's pretty amazing.
Which is pretty awesome.
You got to have a tear in your eye when you're like just watching your boy boss those guys around in the kitchen. No, but when he's actually putting some food down.
When he's putting some food out, and that's been one of the coolest things to watch about him. And one of the things I'm most proud about with him is watching him develop a management style and how he teaches people, and he's embraced the role, and I couldn't be more proud of him.
Not to get too sappy, but I have to imagine that's got to have even more resonance for you emotionally, because you've been quoted as saying like Heritage took a lot of your time and efforts and like took you away from family. So having your son come back to work with you,
it's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
It really is. And then December 15th, 2016, I walked into the space that is now the Stanley, and I saw the space, and I just fell in love with it. It's in a great neighborhood, kind of sandwiched. It's not really the Elizabeth neighborhood of Charlotte, not really Plaza Midwood. We're kind of right in the middle of the two, a couple minutes away from Uptown, just a couple minutes from everywhere.
Yeah. And
the space is cool. It was originally built in 1947. We were able to preserve like the original pressed tin ceilings, some beautiful etched glass in the storefront, opened up the old original storefront, restored it, and then with all the old school, we've kind of got these really cool modern lines and clean edges, and kind of funky light fixtures, and
So Heritage was 36 seats. You said
36 seats. Yeah.
What's the Stanley?
2 seats at the bar.
Okay, so 38 seats. Yeah. What's the Stanley going to be?
Stanley will be a total of 64 seats.
Oh, so you're almost doubling your size.
Almost doubling, and it'll be great. We have we have a bar area, dining room, patio, and then we have a second dining room that we'll be able to do private events up to 40 people for. I'm really excited about.
I have to say, though, a lot of people have been theorizing about why you left Heritage and why you opened the Stanley. But in my mind, I think that you probably take credit for the Philadelphia Eagles winning the Super Bowl because you closed Heritage so you could watch the playoffs and really focus on the games.
Exactly. Yeah. I went to my first Eagles game this year at Lincoln Financial.
Right.
And that was awesome. Best birthday ever.
Congrats to you guys. Too bad the Raiders had to take you out in 1980.
Yeah. Oh, God. That was
Dick Vermeil.
I still remember crying watching that game in the front room of 4 Ardsley Road, one of the houses I grew up in as a kid. I remember sitting there watching that game.
That's my theory anyway. That's why you left Heritage. And then you just found the Stanley.
It was a business decision.
Yeah.
It really was. I was fortunate in the 4 years at Heritage. We made enough money. I was able to pay all my investors back.
Wow.
In 4 years, which doesn't really happen a whole lot.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And I've got a great primarily new group of investors with me for this one, and it's just been awesome being able to build it from the ground up. I mean, it's me.
Nice. So what is that? What you and what Heritage were at the time, and how does that differ from what the Stanley is?
Oh, God. I've been into the local food thing for well over a decade.
Yeah.
It's not something that's new or a fad for me. I mean, some of my farmers, like Sammy at Newtown Farms, this will be our 14th season.
Well, we've heard tale of Sammy.
Yeah.
Sammy's
the godfather.
Everyone that goes to a farmer's market gets told what to do by Sammy.
Yeah, Sammy, he's the godfather. I mean, we wouldn't have a local food scene in Charlotte if it wasn't for people like Sammy and Tim Grudy, chef owner at Fork. We wouldn't. So, I mean, that's never going to change about any of my restaurants, no matter what we do. We're always going to try and be as local as we possibly can, and I like to be I like to be local.
Yeah.
I can see. I mean, I can understand why you and Clark are so close, because that type of theory, I think, blends well with both of your styles. Is there any, not to use the word, but to actually use the word for real, any like heritage from your family that as far as stylistically for menu, or are you just more traditional? For a cocktail?
Yeah. My beverage director, a gentleman by the name of Larry Suggs. He's protege of Bob
Peters at the Punch Room.
One of our dear friends. Bob and I cooked at the Beard House together a couple of years ago, and that was like one of the most fun weekends ever. He's such a hoot. So my family's drink is the old fashioned. That's kind of on my mother's side of the family.
Yeah.
Larry's working on coming up with kind of his twist on an old fashioned, and I think we're going to call it the Stanley. I think. Food wise, all the staples that people expected from us at Heritage, we will not be doing at the Stanley. So no deviled eggs, which is probably the biggest thing. My son he's done with it, and I don't blame him for, a 36-seat restaurant, we'd go through 10, 12 dozen eggs a week just on deviled eggs.
Well, it used to be it was like ironically cool to have deviled eggs at a restaurant.
Cool and retro.
Yeah.
But now it's almost commonplace.
Yeah, it's funny. We see it all the time. We're going to be able to do a lot more kind of interactive stuff. We've got a few kind of cool tableside things that we're going to do. I'm very much, I love the old school, but I also love the new school. I get tagged a lot as being kind of the molecular gastronomy guy, which is fine. It is what it is. I love modern techniques. I love playing with my food. That's just the way I approach it. But I'm also very classically rooted, and that's kind of, how we focus on our food. And I love taking service ideas like, we're going to have a great carved tableside roast chicken. If we can pull it off, we're going to have almond newt tableside ground, like your coffee will be ground to order tableside.
Every server just rolled his eyes.
Oh, you should have seen my GM. Poor Steve, when he looked at it, he just said, "Yes, chef. Yes, chef. I'll make it happen, chef." And I was like, "That's why you're in the position you're in."
Yeah. Wow.
What about your beverage program? You mentioned Larry Suggs is doing it. We love Larry. Is he having any influence over the wine program, or what's that looking like?
Steve, my GM, does the wine program.
Steve, okay, cool.
The two of them together kind of double teamed on beer, and then Larry does the cocktails. Again, I really want him to be as focused as he possibly can on the same side, like we are from our food perspective.
Yeah.
So I want him using local as much as possible. We've talked about incorporating some different culinary things into a few of his cocktails from a garnish element. Like, he was working on this one drink. It's really cool. It's like this coffee something, and it's got like a milk ice cube. And it's like, when we were talking about it, we were like, we should make it like a chocolate bubbles or chocolate air or foam or something like that to put on top of the glass, and it would really add to the, and it's like he was working on this cucumber cocktail, which everybody does a cucumber cocktail. We're talking to one of our farmers about doing, like an 1.5 inch cucumber, baby cucumber that still has the bloom on it, that we're going to we use that for the garnish. I want him to incorporate as much from the culinary world as he can into our cocktail program.
Will he be using anything from the roof of the Ritz-Carlton garden there?
No, he won't be.
Bob won't lend him any?
No.
Damn, Bob.
No, and we've got Gary Crunkleton open up 2 doors
right
down, and Gary's...
What is it, the Crunk 2? Is that what they're calling it?
I don't know.
I think
on the
it's
sign
like
it just says Crunkleton.
Yeah.
And Gary tends to be kind of old school in his approach and the way he looks at things. So, I mean, if he's kind of going to go that old school vein, and we can kind of be that new school modern vein, already I think the two of us together being on the same block is really going to create some cool synergy.
Yeah, totally.
And I just think the more that we can feed off of each other, the better it is.
That Gary, he's a good guy. He's a nice guy.
He's a handsome guy.
Handsome guy. Pay attention when you're driving, boys. Those deers, they come out in the street and get you. Sorry, these are things that he said on our show.
Yeah.
Okay.
Way back in the day.
As a testimonial for
Yeah.
us.
Okay.
You got to listen to that NCFB. Well, he didn't even know the name of the show. You got to listen to that that podcast, that show. I don't know how to download a podcast, but if you guys,
can do that on that radio. So you were reading a lot between opening up the Stanley or closing Heritage. What are some of the books that were on your coffee table?
The New 11 Madison Park book.
mind blown.
Yeah, just mind blowing.
Yeah.
The Cellar de Roca, the Roca brothers over in Spain.
Okay.
WD-50.
Wiley Dufresne.
Yeah, Jeremy Fox is on vegetables. Cheers to the Publican from what's his name, Khan in Chicago. Got like 6 issues of Art Culinaire. Chasing Bocuse. The one about the Bocuse d'Or and winning, and they covered the 2015 and 17 teams.
Yeah.
So when we won silver and then when we won gold.
So when you're reading these books, are you taking notes? Are you just making mental images?
I sit there with the little Post-it sticky tabs and
just putting them on every page that you just love.
On pages where I see...
You get some inspiration.
Yeah, where I see some sort of technique or a flavor combination or a plating style. Like the 11 Madison Park book. I mean, the first 2 days, I was just like... It's like when I ate there. It was the most humbling experience of my life. I was like, I know nothing. Like I had a dish that had a spear of asparagus. It was like 3 ingredients on the dish, and I wanted to cry.
It makes you almost want to stop doing what you're doing.
Yeah, well, no, it makes me want to push. Good.
It makes That's
me
a better
push,
answer.
And it makes me push and want to be better. Oh my God, there's like at least a half a dozen more. I've probably been through 20 plus books in the last 6 months.
Wow. So high expectations, everybody. Have very high expectations for the Stanley.
Just puts the pressure on.
Add a little more pressure.
You heard it here first.
I feel like the target on my back is this freaking big already.
Paul Verica essentially said it. He's the new of the Madison Park in Charlotte. It's basically going to be the same thing.
Yeah. Give me 25 people in my kitchen and let me charge those prices, and
No, but
I can do it. I can do it in my head.
Yeah.
I know I can do it.
But you do look pretty relaxed, and bringing it back to here where we are at Pinehurst. This is actually probably the perfect timing for you to do this.
It really is. I was freaking about it. And I've really been trying to be very good about the fact that there's essentially nothing that I can do to control the last month of what's going on at the restaurant. And it's been as incredibly difficult as that's been for me, because I have some small control issues.
As any chef?
Yeah.
Get out of here.
Yeah. It just got to the point where, I was just like, what am I going to do? There's nothing I can do. And having this weekend, it's great. It's great for us to be able to get away and, and just kind of chillax a little bit, test out some new ideas, just have some fun, and then, get back to it.
Yeah, and also, people that live in Pinehurst can easily, it's like an hour and a half, maybe?
It took us a little, like 2 hours.
2 hours, so,
with 2 stops.
Well, that's okay. My wife forgot her dress for tonight, and apparently it was my fault. So we had to go shopping before we started this evening.
She got a really smart dress over at Chico's, and she's looking fantastic.
And when is Stanley slated to open?
Knocking on wood, May 15th.
Okay, so July 15th we'll be up at the Stanley.
Ouch.
One of my good friends keeps telling me, I can't wait for... Peter Taylor, a good friend, filmographer, photographer, keeps telling me, he's like, I can't wait for that July 4th pig picking opening. I'm like, every time I'm like,
it's tough. It's not easy opening a restaurant.
No, I mean, we thought we were going to be open. It took 10 months for lease negotiations. We had a bunch of issues with one of our wonderful neighbors on the property. And then, we started construction in December, and they're like, oh, it's a 12-week project. And I'm like, great, March. And then the middle of March, I'm like, all right, cool, sometime in April, please.
Yeah.
And then it's just, and then it just got to the point where it's like, we'll get there.
It just
as long
happens.
as we get open before we have to start paying rent, I'm good.
Right. No, it just happens when it happens.
Yeah. So where can people find the Stanley and all? Do you have a website set up yet?
Yep, it's the Stanley CLT.
Yep, Charlotte. Yep,
Charlotte.com. Instagram is _ the Stanley, and then _ again, and Facebook is the Stanley.
Cool.
Oh, one more question. Who was Stanley?
So it was about the neighborhood. It's a throwback to that neighborhood. That neighborhood used to be called Stanleyville. And it's right at the Stanley drugstore, which was like the first big deal drugstore in Charlotte back in the late 40s. Was kind of the anchor of the shopping center. There was a Stanley family. The building itself was at one point the Stanleyville Bar and Grill, and you can still see where that was painted on the side of the building.
Oh, that's cool.
And it was just kind of, at Heritage we were a destination.
Yeah.
And we were very thankful for that. But here we really want to kind of be a neighborhoody.
Embrace the neighborhood. Yeah.
We've always wanted to make sure that we're very approachable, and after much anguish in many months of conversations, it was down to 2.0 or the Stanley. And my son and I had called it 2.0 because it was 2.0.
Yeah, it's the new version of what you're doing.
And for me personally, I'd gone through a bunch of personal changes in the last little bit, and I was like, this is kind of my 2.0 too. So it was kind of fit, but it's not very good from a marketing angle.
It would be weird, I bet, like getting a hashtag, getting an Instagram handle. I think we kidded around with Stefan when he was opening ...
Yeah.
We're like, how are you going to make that a how are you going to make that a website?
Oh yeah.
He's having no problem.
Yeah, no problem
with the dots. Yeah.
My son. That's where my son was working. When we closed Heritage, my son was the sous chef at ... for the last 6 months.
Oh wow.
Working with David over there.
That's
nice.
fantastic.
So yeah, it's cool. Those guys are killing it. They do a great job. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Matt.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for being here. For all of you out there, come to the next Chef and Maker series out at Pinehurst, and definitely go to Charlotte, go to the Stanley, and go see Chef Paul Verica. And you will eat and drink extremely merrily.
Guests of the NCF&B podcast receive a swag bag, including gifts from these exceptional North Carolina producers. Social House Vodka, Hungry Harvest, Alley 26 Tonic Syrup, Michael's English Muffins, Larry's Beans and 42 in Lawrence, Ramona Wine Coolers, and Happy Hour Vitamins. Thanks for listening to the NCF&B podcast. I am the voice, Brian Hoyle. Join us next week when we chat with Streamline Kitchen's Chef Paul Malcolm and Brian Campbell. It's next week right here on the NCF&B podcast.